Good afternoon, students. So, my name is Srikanth, History faculty. So, the purpose of this session is to discuss about the model answers about the UPSC 2025 Civil Services GS paper 1 discussion regarding the history GS 1 paper 2025 mains discussion. So, before we start the discussion regarding the history questions of the UPSC, let's take a brief view regarding what actually the weightage and what is the approach UPSC adopted in this year. Okay, definitely every time I told you to my students that while preparing the UPSC exams, to that matter, especially for the civil services, you have to prepare for the shocks and surprises. Many times you are expecting something. If you go and sit in the examination, you will get some other questions, and that too with the difficulty of the terminology by twisting the terms as well as some usage of advanced English. They try to make you anxiety with regard to these questions. So in this year, the history questions are surprisingly very straightforward. And no need of any creativity required in order to write the answers. Seriously speaking, many questions are direct and you can write the answers with the tailor-made solutions. No need of creativity. No need of, you can say, a kind of difficulty you will face. Direct questions and the most expected questions. Frankly speaking, 2-3 questions are from the previous year questions only. If you observe the phenomenon of the weightage for this particular year, first, so if you see, there are 6 questions. There are 6 questions from history. And from the 6 questions, he done the justice to the every subject of history. I mean to say, from ancient, 1 question, from medieval, 2 questions, and you can say from modern, 1 question, and from the post-independence, 1 question, and from the world history, 1 question. Covered every aspect of the subject. Ancient history from art and culture, 1 question. In the medieval history, art and culture, 1 question, as well as from the other part of art and culture, he covered 1 question, especially with respect to the Akbar. Next, in the modern history, from the socio-religious reform movements, 1 question. A very, very favorite topic of UPSC and limelight issue. And from the post-independence, 1 question. So, I told you many times to my students that from post-independence, which is very, very short syllabus, but easy to get the marks, a single question every year. Less syllabus, within the less syllabus, you can cover the maximum marks. And the next one is world history. Even from the world history, the most, favorite, I mean to say the most important issue was covered in this year. Even the most favorite topic in the entire ancient history is Harappan art and architecture. Direct question. Discuss about the Harappan art and architecture. In the medieval, the Chandela group of architecture. I told you when I am discussing in the class, this year the Harappa culture was in the limelight. The Tamil Nadu chief minister Stalin announced a huge prize for the person who will decipher the Harappan script. That's how that's how the issue was into the limelight. And there is a site called Kiladi. This Kiladi site is actually gained into the limelight because of the tussle between the state as well as the central with respect to the archaeological survey of India. I told you, which is related to the Indus Valley civilization, Harappan culture. And that is the reason I told you in the class, definitely this year you can expect the question either in the prelims or in the mains, and this time within the span of just 2-3 months, you can see the question directly from the Harappan art and architecture directly. And from the medieval, I told you when I discussed in the class, the Chandela architecture, which is, I mean to say, the Chandela, Khajuraho Chandela, I mean to say, dynasty name is Chandela, and their art and architecture is known as Khajuraho School of Architecture. So, Khajuraho dance festival conducting every year, annually. And in the 2024, Khajuraho dance festival completed the Golden Jubilee celebrations. I told you definitely there will be a question in the mains. So, UPSC always, any question in the mains, irrespective of the history, polity, economy, environment, definitely the question either directly or indirectly definitely relates with the current issue. Then only you can expect the question in the mains. So last year, Khajuraho Dance Festival completed the Golden Jubilee celebrations, 50 years completion. So question is about the Chandela art and architecture. Chandela architecture they explain, direct question. And I told you in the class, this time because of the, Mughals, there is an addition of subjects with respect to the religion of the Mughals character. There is so much discussions regarding the ambiguity, regarding the kind of controversy related to the NCERT adding the syllabus. NCERT syllabus is included some new kinds of religious policy with respect to the Akbar as well as the Babur. Some colors of a religious baggage was included. So my point here is, I told you, the Akbar issue was in the limelight. You can expect the question in the UP, directly question. And that too about the Akbar's religious policy. Syncretism, Akbar's religious syncretism. So what is the uniqueness of Akbar is Akbar's religious tolerance, his secularism. Direct question from the medieval. And from the modern, the socio-religious reform movement, one of the favorite topic of UPSC, civil services. And they asked about the Jyotiba Phule, because Jyotiba Phule, I think in Maharashtra, there is a movie was released in this year, which was gained the controversy. There is so much debate, discussions and controversy with respect to the Jyotiba Phule biopic. And it is in the limelight, and question is asked about the Jyotiba Phule. And post-independence, very short syllabus. Syllabus is very clear. Post-independence, consolidation of India, linguistic reorganization of India. And question, very short syllabus and a direct question about how the linguistic reorganization was took place with respect to the political, economic, education spheres. That's what, international. With international aspect, they asked. And the last one is the French Revolution. Very, very important topic in the entire world history is French Revolution. Indian constitution adopted the concept of liberty, equality, fraternity with the spirit of French Revolution only. So that French Revolution was asked in the UPSC mains this year. So this is what every aspect of ancient covered, medieval covered, modern covered, post-independence covered, world history covered. UPSC given justice to the history by covering the syllabus. Okay, and that too what very, very limelight issues. Very, very important issues was covered. So questions was very direct. So obviously everybody will write, you have to show the relative merit when compared to the other aspirants. That is what the task. Okay. So 6 questions came and the marks is 75 marks this year. 75 marks. Out of the 250 marks for the GS1 paper, 75 marks alone from the history. I told you, definitely from history part in the UPSC mains, 75 to 90 marks it will be called. That is what the weightage. And this year very decent weightage was given. Okay. So this is what, without wasting your valuable time, let's continue the discussion with respect to the model answers for these questions. Okay. So let's discuss. The first question is asked about discuss the salient features of Harappan architecture. 150 words, just 10 marks. I mean to say 10 marks. UPSC consisting about 10 marks and 15 marks. And this Harappan architecture salient features was asked. Direct question. Okay. Discuss the salient features of Harappan architecture. If you want, I can write. Discuss the salient features of Harappan architecture. Discuss. He is asking about not art, he is asking about the architecture. Direct question. And that too, This is the first art and architecture in India. Okay. So let's discuss about the model answer for this question. So I told you, for every question in the UPSC general studies, you have to divide the answer into three aspects. First one is introduction, second one is body, third one is conclusion. In the introduction, you have to write related to the question. In the body, you have to definitely insert the demand of the question. In the conclusion, you have to write the relevance of the topic, especially with your own view. That is what the task. So, what is the model answer for this question is, so regarding the Harappan architecture, so very easy. I mean to say, the introduction should be better if you write like this. Okay. So, Harappan civilization, believe it to be, existed between 2500 BC to 1500 BC, according to R.S. Sharma. It is even supported by the scientific method called radiocarbon dating method. And it is the first civilization in India, Indian subcontinent, and one of the earliest civilization in the world. Indus Valley civilization is the largest civilization of all the contemporary civilization existed, which was spread to the 1.3 million square kilometers. 1.3 million square kilometers. So this is enough, fair enough. Okay, this is what the introduction. It is better to if you write like this. Okay. Then what about the body? The question is about the architecture, not about the art. The question is about the architecture, not about the art. So what you have to write is, the point is, first one, the features. He is asking about the features. The most uniqueness about the Harappan architecture is the town planning. The feature includes the town planning. Okay. So, write down, like I mean to say, you have to write like this. Harappans, urban town planning is uniformity followed. Uniformity in urban town planning is followed in almost all the sites. The principal material used is, the burnt bricks are the principal material used with a uniform size and dimensions, with 1 into 2 into 3. And they are in equal size and dimensions with interlocking mechanism. I told you, whenever you are writing about the architecture, you have to first explain about the principal material. Without explaining the principal material, it is absolutely not correct to write about the answers. So, urban town planning, which is the unique feature of the Indus Valley civilization. So, Harappans followed the uniformity in town planning. The principal material used by the Harappans is burnt bricks, along with the baked bricks, but the mostly used burnt bricks, which is equal in size and dimensions with the measurements, with interlocking mechanism. Gyps and mortar used as the binding agents. They mostly constructed the monuments for the utilitarian purpose, unlike the Egyptian and Mesopotamian civilization people. Because the Egyptian civilization and Mesopotamian civilization people constructed monuments which are for the pleasure purpose, glory purpose. But all the Harappan monuments architecture was contributed for the utilitarian purpose. This is what. The Harappan town planning is uniformity is followed, and every city is divided into east and west. East city, west city, with the citadel. They followed the citadel. Why the citadel was used? Citadel is used for the protection from the floods. And for the defensive mechanism. The west city is small, narrow, surrounded by the citadel. East city is large. East city is large, which is inhabited. The west city is inhabited by the affluent class people, allied people, whereas the east city is inhabited by the commoners like peasants, laborers. So this is what the uniformity of the town planning is followed. The citadel is also known as what? Acropolis. The citadel is also known as Acropolis. So this is what you have to explain. So it is asking about the architecture. Uniformity in town planning is followed. The features of the urban town planning includes, first one is citadel, also known as Acropolis. Almost all cities were divided into two categories. One is east city, next one is west city. West city is surrounded by a fort-like structure known as citadel. Fort-like structure, citadel. Citadel is actually constructed to protect the cities from the floods and for the defensive mechanism, which is inhabited by the affluent class people, that is the allied people, whereas the east city, which is large and lower in height, was inhabited by the commoners like peasants, laborers. So this is what regarding the citadel, urban town planning. And the next feature includes, within the town planning, you have to write about the grid pattern. You have to write about the grid pattern. What is the grid pattern? They followed rectangular grid pattern. They followed the rectangular grid pattern, which is the uniqueness of the Indus Valley civilization, Harappan architecture. So they followed the rectangular grid pattern, where each road intersects with other roads, right angles to each other. Right angles to each other. Okay, so that's what. And next thing is, you have to write about the underground drainage system. Next thing, you have to write about the underground drainage system. For the first time in the world, Harappan people followed the underground drainage system. The Mohenjo-daro Harappa underground drainage system is exceptionally unique. Every city, every house provided with the bathroom, courtyard. For the first time in the world, the flushed toilets were used by these people. They are given immense priority for the sanitation and hygiene. You can give a popular quote which I told in the class: no other Bronze Age civilization given such a high priority like Indus Valley civilization people. This is the outmost point you have to explain. So that is what the underground drainage system is exceptionally unique. Next one, the port town. Port town, I mean to say dockyard. Dockyard at Lothal. Dockyard at Lothal present in Gujarat. So these are the important aspects with respect to the town planning, as well as with the port, dockyard of Lothal. Okay, and the next thing you have to write about the architecture. He is specifically asking about the architecture. You have to write about the next thing is the stonework. You have to write about the stonework. Okay, the stonework is not much used, but the point, the dressed stone used by the Dholavira citadel is exceptionally unique. Exceptionally unique. So this is what you have to write about the stonework. Okay, and next thing is very, very important thing is you have to explain about the Great Bath. You have to explain about the Great Bath at Mohenjo-daro and the Great Granary at Harappa. Great Bath at Mohenjo-daro and the Great Granary at Harappa. So you have to explain about especially about the Great Bath, about its measurements and whether it is provided with the inlet, whether it is provided with the outlet, what is the interlocking mechanism is mentioned, what is the binding agents used, and more importantly, the compartments used for the changing of dresses for the ablution process, that is holy dipping. One of the thing which is found with respect to the religion for the holy dipping purpose, that is ablution, is the Great Bath, as well as you have to explain about the Great Granary. Okay, so this is what you have to explain about the first one. Is more important one is uniformity of the town planning, because Harappan civilization is very much known for the uniformity of the town planning. Okay, so within the uniformity of the town planning, first one you have to explain the citadel, that is every city divided into two types. Every city is divided into two categories. One is east city, next one west city, and so on. Next thing you have to explain about the grid pattern followed. Next thing you have to explain the underground drainage system. And after that, don't forget the Lothal, the dockyard city, the port which is established. And next one is about the stonework. And the next one is great granary as well as the great path. More than enough for the 10 marks. Okay, because it is asking about the architecture, not about the art. Okay, so that is what, and this is what the body. Okay, for the 10 marks it is more than enough. You don't want to, so you have to don't waste much time about here, because there is so much questions you are there to complete. Okay, and the conclusion you have to write like this. In conclusion, maybe it is good that the cultural continuity of the Harappan civilization even continue today in the social aspect, in the economy aspects, even in the trade aspects. Okay, yeah, I mean to say regarding it is about the architecture. If you write like this, the grid pattern of Harappan civilization is still followed. The Chandigarh city, which was actually built in 1960 by the French architect Le Corbusier, on the lines of Harappan grid pattern followed. That is the reason it is provided with the UNESCO World Heritage Site in the year 2016. So, you have to mention about the cultural legacy of the Harappan civilization. Okay, so cultural legacy of the Harappan civilization with respect to the architecture, because it is asking about the architecture. So, that is what the conclusion, it is better to write. Okay, next one, this is all about the first question. Next question, the question is asking about the examine the main aspects of Akbar's religious syncretism. The question is about the examine the main aspects. Examine the main aspects of Akbar's religious. Examine the main aspects of Akbar's religious syncretism. Syncretism. Okay, that's it. For 10 marks. Direct question. Strictly speaking, it is asking about the very, very important topic regarding the Mughal history, Akbar's religious policy. So, whatever the method he followed. Okay, so directly getting into the question, I mean to say the model answer would be, so introduction could be anything. Introduction could be anything, because Akbar, who is regarded as the greatest among the Mughal rulers and one of the greatest ruler ever India witnessed, he is known for the religious tolerance in the Mughal history. Okay, so like that you can write anything. Okay, but what is the body? What is the demand of the question is, we have to explain about the Akbar's religious policy. Okay, so Akbar's religious policy include, you can continue like this. I mean to say, for example, Akbar was born in Hindu Rajput family. Akbar was born in Hindu Rajput family at Amarkot. Next, Akbar's mother, Hamida Banu Begum. Akbar's mother is Hamida Banu Begum. Who is she? She is a Shia. Akbar was born in Hindu Rajput family at Amarkot, which is located in the Punjab province of India. Next one is Akbar's mother is Hamida Banu Begum. She is a Shia. And next thing is Akbar's tutor, Abdul Latif. Akbar's tutor is Abdul Latif, who is a Shia. And Akbar's guru, Akbar followed the Sufi saint. Who is the Sufi saint? Sheikh Salim Chishti. Sheikh Salim Chishti. Akbar is the great disciple of Sheikh Salim Chishti, and that is the reason his son name is named after the Sheikh Salim Chishti. That is Salim. So this is what. Okay, even Akbar's regent, the protector, Bhairan Khan. Who is he? He is also a Shia. So that is what. One is a Sufi saint. He is born in Hindu Rajput family. His mother is Shia. His tutor is Shia. This was shaped Akbar's religious character. This was shaped Akbar's religious character. Okay, if this is also included in the introduction, it is fair enough. Okay, so let's getting into the demand of the question, that is body. Okay, so Akbar's religious policy was based upon the Sulekul policy. Okay, the body, I am discussing about the body. The body should be, Akbar's religious policy was based on the Sulekul policy. What is Sulekul policy? Nothing but peace to all. Okay, that means what? No discrimination and universal brotherhood. No discrimination as well as universal brotherhood. This is what bedrock of Sulekul policy. This Sulekul policy observed by the Akbar from the Sufism. From the Sufism, the Sulekul policy was observed. So this is what the basic for Akbar's religious policy. This is what basis for the Akbar's religious policy. Okay, so Akbar's religious policy was based upon the Sufism principle called Sulekul. So Sulekul literally meaning is peace to all, which is based upon the no discrimination and universal brotherhood, which is actually shaped the, which is actually imbibed the, Akbar's religious policy. And that is the reason, based upon the Sulekul policy, there are so many measures was taken by the Akbar. That means what? In 1562, he abolished forcible conversions. He abolished forcible conversions. In 1563, he abolished pilgrimage tax. Jizya tax. In 1564, he abolished pilgrimage tax. So on. And from it what? From 1578, he conducted religious discussions at Ibadat Khana. From 1575 to 1578, he conducted religious discussions at Ibadat Khana. What is Ibadat Khana? House of worship. House of worship. So, religious discussions held with all the people. Okay, religious discussions held with particularly with the Muslim people, which is Ibadat Khana located at Fatehpur Sikri. So, because Akbar is illiterate, unable to know what is actually the principles imbibed in the different, religious, in the different religions. And that is the reason he want to know about the religious principles of all the religions, especially with the Islam. And with the Islamic people, he conducted the religious discussions in the Ibadat Khana, known as House of Worship, at Fatehpur Sikri. That's what. After this, what happened? From 1578 and 1582, in the same Ibadat Khana. So, this Ibadat Khana religious discussions was held in every Thursday. So, in the same Thursday, from 1578 to 1582, in the same Ibadat Khana, with all the religious people, he held the discussions. So, from the Zoroastrianism, that is Parsism, from the Jain, from the Buddhism, from the, of course, as Buddhism is not existed, and that is the reason nobody participated from the Buddhism. As in the 12th century AD, Buddhism was vanished in India, extinct in India. So, remaining all the religious people from India was participated, especially from the Christianity, especially from the Islam and Jainism, and from the Zoroastrianism, different religious people were attended. Then Akbar understood one thing. Every religion consisting about the two principles. What is moral principles? Next one is dogmatic principles. And that is the reason in the 1582, he came with a principles known as, he came with a new religion known as Tawhid-i Ilahi, also known as Din-i-Ilahi. Okay, in 1582, he himself founded a religion By observing the principles from different religions, he understood that every religion is consisting about the two principles. One is dogmatic principles, next one is ethical principles. And that is the reason he founded a religion in 1582 called Din-i-Ilahi, which is previously known as Tawhid-i-Ilahi, which is consisting about this Din-i-Ilahi, consisting about the eclectic pantheism. That is consisting all the elements of other religions. All the elements of other religions. What it's what? It consisting about the, sun and fire shall be worshipped. Sun and fire worship, which is taken from Hindu and Parsi religion. And next thing is what? Sunday shall be celebrated as holiday. Sunday shall be celebrated as holiday, which is from Christianity. Next thing was no killing of animals. No killing of animals. This is from Jainism. Okay, no killing of animals. Next one, birthdays shall be celebrated. Birthdays shall be celebrated, which is what? Against to Islam. Against to Islam. Next thing is what? It is all about greetings. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. This is nothing but the greetings. So this is what? One is Hindu element, next one is Parsi element, because in the Parsi religion, fire is considered as very, very sacred. Parsi people, also known as Zoroastrian people, worship fire. So one is Hindu practice, next one is Parsi practice, one is taken from the Christianity, one is taken from the Jainism, one is taken from the against Islam is also taken. So that is what? Different religious principles are taken and he formed into a religion. That is the reason Din-i-Ilahi was actually called as eclectic pantheism, taking the important elements from the different religions and formed into a new religion. Officially, 17 people joined in the Din-i-Ilahi along with the Birbal. Popularly, his original name is Mahesh Das. So this is all about the body you have to explain. Okay, so I explained it very detailedly because this is one of the important questions. So in a crispy manner, what? Abolition of jizya, pilgrimage tax, forcible conversions, Ibadat Khana discussion. And the next thing is about the Din-i-Ilahi features. Din-i-Ilahi features. In the conclusion, what? Conclusion is very, very important because according to V.S. Smith, a British historian, according to V.S. Smith, the Din-i-Ilahi is actually the Akbar foolishness. But we definitely do not agree to this view because it is the Akbars want to create a homogeneous society. A homogeneous society in India by bringing the all religious people under one umbrella, irrespective of the caste, creed, religion and all. It is the crowning expression of emperor's national idealism. It is the crowning expression of emperor's national idealism. So that is what you can write in the conclusion. Okay, so this is what very, very important question. That is the reason I explained it very, very detailed. Next one, this is more than enough. This is more than enough. That should be the body, and the conclusion should be like this. Supporting the Din-i-Ilahi, you have to write. That is one historian view you have to must take about the V.S. Smith view. And the V.S. Smith views definitely you have to condemn, and you have to explain about the own view regarding the Akbar's secularism policy. Next one. Next question is the sculptors filled the Chandela art form with resilient vigor and breadth of life. Elucidate, that is make it clear. Elucidate, that is make it clear. What is the question? The question is the sculptors. The question is the sculptors. The question is the sculptors filled the Chandela. The sculptors filled the Chandela art form. Chandela art form with resilient vigor. With resilient vigor and breadth of life. Elucidate. Elucidate. That is what? Simply speaking, he is asking about the Chandela art and architecture. Okay. So I told you definitely in the last year, the 50-year celebrations of the Khajuraho dance festival took place. We expected the question. That is the reason we discussed it very, very elaborately in the class. So point here is, what is the introduction you have to write is very, very known. You can write anything. I mean to say related to the question. The Chandelas. Chandelas are actually the feudatories of the Gujara Pratiharas. After the Gujara Pratiharas, they declared independence and they ruled the Bundelkhand region, formerly known as Jejaka Bhukti. It consisting about the areas of parts of Uttar Pradesh, parts of Madhya Pradesh. Okay, and their cultural contribution to the India is very, very high. Okay, so this can be fair enough. And the Chandela is the cultural capital. The Khajuraho is the cultural capital of the Chandelas. So this must be fair enough regarding to the introduction. Okay, so Khajuraho is the cultural capital of Chandelas. What should be the body? This is very important. This is asking about simply the Chandela school of architecture. Okay, what should be the body? You must write about the Chandela architecture, also known as Khajuraho school of architecture. This style was introduced by the rulers of Chandela, and this Chandela school of architecture is the subtype of Nagara architecture, also known as Shikara architecture. Subtype of body. What should be the body you have to write? This Chandela architecture, I mean to say the Chandela architecture. The first thing you have to write is the subtype of Nagara architecture, also known as Shikara architecture. Subtype of Nagara architecture, also known as Shikara architecture. So this, I mean to say, the architecture was the temples or whatever the things related to Chandela architecture was built in the Vindhyan mountains. Vindhyan mountains. I told you in the class every time with respect to the architecture, you have to definitely mention about the principal material. What is the principal material used? The sandstone. The sandstone used as the principal material. Principal material used is sandstone. And next thing is they built on upraised platform. They built on the upraised platform, followed Panchayatana style. Followed Panchayatana style. Along with main shrine, along with the main shrine, subsidiary shrines, also possess shikaras, which give mountain range appearance, from long distance. And next thing is which give mountain range appearance from the long distance. And the temple was divided into 3 chambers. The temple was divided into 3 chambers. One is Garbhagriha, next one is Mandapa, and the last one is Artha Mandapa. Because in the class we explained with the diagram, and that is the reason I shown like this. The entire temple is divided into 3 chambers. One is Garbhagriha, Mandapa, Artha Mandapa. So these are the salient features regarding to the Chandela style. Okay, also known as Khajuraho school of architecture. architecture. And next thing is what? Both interior walls and exterior walls. Both interior walls, exterior walls were lavishly decorated. Both interior walls as well as the exterior walls were lavishly decorated with Mithuna sculptures. With Mithuna sculptures, that is romantic couple. These people are what? Romantic couples. Okay, in different erotic postures. In different erotic postures. And the temple was in the direction of north or east direction. The temple faces either north direction or east direction. And the shikara end with Amalaka. On top of Amalaka, is Kalash. What is Kalash? The crowning element. The crowning element. So this is the thing you have to write. Yes, the Chandela form you have to write it completely. It is a subtype of Nagara, also known as Shikara architecture. The temple was built on the Vindhyan mountain. The principal material used is sandstone. As it is a North Indian Nagara school of architecture, it was built on the upraised platform with the Panchayatana style was followed. That is, crucified ground plan was followed. Okay, and the most uniqueness of all these things is presence of Antarala. Presence of Antarala. Antarala presence is actually the Dravidian feature. But Chandela school of architecture also possessed with the Antarala. This is exceptionally unique point. Exceptionally unique point. So this is what you have to write. Okay. So temple is actually what? Along with the main shrine, the subsidiary shrines also possessed with the Shikara, which give a mountain range appearance from the long distance. And next thing is, the temple is divided into 3 chambers, that is Garbhagruha, Mandapa, Ardha Mandapa. And both interior walls, exterior walls of the temples was decorated lavishly with the Mithuna sculptures, that is romantic couple in different sexual angles, that is erotic postures. Temple generally faces the eastern direction or north direction. Okay, the Shikara ended with Amalaka, that is Indian gooseberry fruit like structure. On the top of the temple, that is above Amalaka, you will find the Kalash, the crowning element of North Indian Nagara architecture. Okay, but the exceptionally unique point here is presence of Antarala. Antarala means what? Vestibular tunnel-like structure between the Garbhagruha and Mandapa. So this is what the principal elements with respect to the Chandela school of architecture in the glimpse way. Okay, that is the body. And I mean to say, in the Khajuraho, the temples were divided into east side and the west side. East side is consisting about what? The east side consisting about Adinada temple. Next one, Parshvanatha temple. Adinada temple, Parshvanatha temple. That means what? East side is consisting about the only Jain temples. Whereas the west side consisting about what? Hindu temples. What are the Hindu temples? Chitragupta temple. Chitragupta temple. Lakshmana temple. Kandiriya Mahadeva temple. Kandiriya Mahadeva temple. Next, Vishwanatha temple. Okay, next one. Chaturbhuja temple. Next one, Devi Jagadamba temple. Devi Jagadamba temple. But you have to explain especially about the Kandiriya Mahadeva temple. You have to explain more importantly about the Kandiriya Mahadeva temple. Kandiriya Mahadeva temple is the most largest and loftiest temple of the entire Khajuraho temples. It is the epitome of Nagara architecture. It is dedicated to God Lord Shiva. It is the most ornate of all. It is the most ornate of all. So this is what you have to explain. By explaining very detailedly, I mean to say this is the very, very common question. So you have to explain the question with the unique way, with extra information. So you have to point out the examiner, you have something more than the others. You have something more than the others. That is the reason this kind of very, very expected question should be in a detailed way, in an exceptionally unique way. In your own writing, you have to write. The other points you have to include. So this is what you have to write for the body. And in the conclusion, what? The Chandela School of Architecture is actually the rich cultural heritage of India, and that is the reason the UNESCO World Heritage Site was given in the year 1986. Okay, the Al-Biruni, I mean to say, you have to write about what? Okay, Ibn Battuta, Al-Biruni mentioned in their writings about the early school architecture about the Chandelas. Okay, so the cultural heritage of Chandela School of Architecture is very, very treasure gem of India's cultural heritage. So this is thing you have to write. Okay. So, but definitely you have to write about the cultural heritage of India, which is continuing even today. That is what we are conducting about the Khajuraho festival annually by the Madhya Pradesh government. So this is what. Okay. So this is what you have to explain about the Khajuraho School of Architecture in detailed way. So even though 10 marks question, so one thing about the temples, next thing about the salient features. Okay. So this is what.